This is the podcast behind the Funhouse, and for this episode, you're going to hear from Ben and Keaton about Charles Bernstein's essay, or is it a poem? I think they think it's an essay, and it's titled Artifice of Absorption. It appears in Bernstein's book, A Poetics. It's published by Harvard, and so they're gonna talk a little bit about this essay, or is it a poem? I don't think they know. And then they'll play some tunes.
Okay, it should be going. Yep, we're good. So we'll just like get into it. So what? So with this essay, then, is it an essay or is it a poem?
I would say it's an essay.
Okay.
I would say it's an essay.
What makes it an essay?
Well, maybe the question is what makes it not a poem.
Okay, what makes it not a poem?
I don't have an answer to that. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer to that. I get, like, my gut wants to say essay.
Yeah. It does appear in a collection of essays. So at least here it does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's definitely some like poetic elements to it. I maybe so this is, my hot take on poetry, like, but I feel like what poetry for me is often sort of, I don't want to use the word signified because I'm about to use it later in the sentence, but like I often see poetry in times when like the signified, so to speak, like overflows the signifier. So it's sort of like a mystic experience where like the signifier can't contain what it's meant to signify, that's signified. And so like generally, like I read this essay and I felt like all of the signifiers were to keep with this sort of like spatial or sort of liquid metaphor here, that they were like coextensive or they like completely contain the the signified. So I definitely think there are like poetic elements to it, right, with the line breaks and whatnot, but I don't know. I mean, even visually speaking,
So I don't know if this is like this isn't something that I intended to talk about at all. So, but Jakobson, one of his 6 functions of language is the poetic function, and with the poetic function, it's the message for its own sake. So I don't know. I haven't read this. This is something on my list of stuff I have to read for Steve. There's like an automatic aspect of the signifier, I think. So it's becoming autonomous in a way. Like it has like unintended effects by the poet or something.
Yeah, but okay, I've never heard of. Yeah, I mean,
Which I
I
think
know who
I
Jakobsen
mean like I
is,
could
but
see Roman Jakobsen.
yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
I know who
Oh,
he is. I just like I haven't read
yeah. I
beyond like critiques of Russian formalism.
yeah. Um. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we can probably just table this and talk about absorption and anti-absorption. Um, so yeah, so we have. I mean, I feel like the terms themselves are pretty straightforward. I don't know what to say about that. Absorption and absorbs and anti-absorption does not absorb, right?
Well, it's not even like does not absorb; it like prohibits
Yeah,
absorption, or it sort of like jolts. Yeah,
repellent.
repel. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you say that, it's interesting that he wouldn't, that's his choice, anti-absorption, because it seems like there ought to be something that like in between the two.
Hmm.
I feel like to repel would be to push out as opposed to like take in. But I guess if it's not being taken in, it's pushed out.
Yeah, or right. So you're saying like he could have chosen another word that would have like given room to just maybe like hold in place instead of
Yeah,
like
like a zero
why does it have
point
to
or
be moving?
something.
Yeah, right. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I think like the
And the other thing that's notable about this, right, is that Bernstein writes this like in the form of what we would typically see as a poem with like line breaks or whatever. So it's like formally innovative, I guess. And I think this is an example of like the form mimicking or speaking to the content, right? Where like there are moments in the essay where he's creatively using line breaks to create like a more disruptive text than a traditional essay. Um,
yeah, I was thinking just now about my really superficial take on poetry just now, and it occurred to me that that was sort of ground in a very like literary notion of the sign or a literary conception of the sign. Whereas
yeah.
now I'm looking at these line breaks and I was like, well, shit. I guess that's a sign. And like there is something there, similar to what you said, that it's so. I might have to amend my statement, and I don't know. Maybe it's neither poem nor essay then.
I think what I what I generally find I don't know, like challenging or like what turns me off to poetry, I guess, is like, well, for one, creative writers in undergraduate programs who write poetry. um, but like this like notion of this like, I don't know, this like the romanticized poet is just like, it just seems so like self-important. It's like hard to get down with. I feel like anybody like born after what, like 1990 or something is just like, I don't know. It just seems like really silly sometimes.
Yeah, I got that sense not even interacting with undergrad poets, just
Oh my God.
having to learn, or having to take classes in poetry for my undergrad degree, and it was like 100-person
You had to
class.
take classes?
Yeah, I mean
I didn't take any poetry classes in art. I
well,
don't know that they were even offered, let alone required.
I don't think it was specifically a poetry class. Like the way the degree worked, you had to take English lit from like Beowulf to like the 18th century.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then you had to take a second English class that was like 18th century to contemporary, right? And so in that, it was in that 18th century to contemporary where there was like predominantly we read poetry. Then we
Okay.
read some, we eventually once we got through the romantic period, I think we had to read Picture of Dorian Gray, and I think we had to read a little bit of Joyce. I think we had to read Araby for that class.
Yeah.
But I just really didn't like the teacher, and the class was like 100 people, and I had to listen to this person talk about poetry.
Yeah.
So I didn't even need shitty poets to not like poetry. I just had to have a shitty teacher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think I had any English classes that were that big.
yeah, no, I mean, like in hindsight, it's shocking. I mean, I just
Who the fuck were all these English majors?
well, yeah, I don't know, man.
That's
I don't know. I don't know.
God.
What's funny though is that the other required class was like a 15 people. So like I don't know. I was also in a Chaucer class that was like 60 people in undergrad, and it was in Middle English. So like, who the fuck are these people? Where
Dude,
are they
people
now?
who take like medievalist courses are just like the biggest fucking nerds.
Yeah. Well,
Everyone, like, dude, where I did my undergrad, rather where I finished, they like, all of them were like fucking fantasy fiction writers working on like, you know, I don't know, like what are the I don't even like the next. They thought they were the next Tolkien.
I like tokens. They were the next token.
And they like, you know, use that as like a reason to not shower and too busy working on their novel to like, you know, go on a date or like, you know, do normal person things. And they all decided to take like medieval lit, you know.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those professors who have to teach those survey medieval lit courses. That's like bottom of the barrel right there.
I mean, I definitely get that it attracts a certain type of person. I will say that I really, well, this last semester, in undergrad I didn't really like it that much, but this last semester, I think all the scholarly articles we had to read, really just, man, they were fucking weird. Like, just like weird. And all it did was make me think about how weird we are. And I just really enjoyed reading about like all the weird body parts that they would shave and like what all these different symbols meant. And, you know, I want a big forehead. And, you know, like you can't talk about a woman from like the knees to the hips. Like, it's just fucking weird.
I had like a tutor lit course as an undergrad. And I remember Grant Moss, if you're out there, give me a call, buddy. Grant Moss, great guy, fantastic professor, but he had like the weirdest pool of like eclectic knowledge, just like weird shit like that. I didn't read this book, but we were supposed to have read this book about like tutor lit culture. And I guess there was like, I don't know if it was like an HBO series or some shit, but he'd always talk about this like reality show or this like, I don't know if it was a reality show.
Is it The Tutors? Because there's a show called The Tutors, but it's not.
No, it was like a professor who like lived like a Tudor era person for like a month. It was like Survivor Tudor version. And he was like way into this show.
I've never heard of that show.
I think he may have like shown part of one of the episodes.
Was he the professor doing this, or did he just?
No,
like the
no,
show?
it was like someone else doing this. She like would like sleep in a hut and do tutor stuff.
Yeah. So to be clear,
she was like really bad.
She was like a peasant in Tudor era. She wasn't like, you know, an aristocrat.
Yeah. No, she was
a
like,
lady.
The only thing I remember is like the floors were straw because they would like absorb the odors. I seem to remember that being a thing. He also this dude Grant Moss, if you're out there, he like knew so much about like medieval torture. And I remember him talking about like going to see like a therapist when he realized how much he knew about medieval torture as a graduate student. Anyways.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good thing there are no academic jobs out there anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's funny. So back to the essay. Yeah, so looking at some of the, I guess we could talk about some of the absorptive techniques, right, that Bernstein talks about. So, one of the first examples he gives is a Emily Dickinson poem. Right, and it's just looks like a normal poem, except for the fact that there's, I don't know, 20 hyphens in 3 stanzas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, so obviously you can't hear us when we, read it. It's something you have to see. But apparently what I did find interesting about this, I think if you look at the footnote, right, that it was published, like publishers want to publish this without the hyphens.
Yeah.
Because it breaks the, I guess it is anti-absorptive. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think Ben Friedlander might know more about this, but I guess like I seem to remember reading somewhere something about like there's been like kind of a continual re-editing of her poems or whatever, because they like when first because she didn't publish a lot during her life, right? And then later, I'm pretty sure she didn't publish very much during her life. She dies, they find all these poems and they start publishing them, but she like wrote in a very idiosyncratic way. And so they've like republished stuff more true to how she wrote them out.
Did not know that.
I think Ben Friedlander's like really like an expert on that stuff, I think. I don't know.
So generally the premise of the essay is, right, that like, you have these techniques that poets can deploy to sort of break the mimetic illusion, right, or just breaks the absorption, I guess. We'll just stick with Bernstein's words here.
Yeah.
But what I do like, so a lot of times like these are visual things, right, like hyphens or spaces, but there's also I can't find the page here, but he mentions he does talk about this type of poetry that is just like made up language or something like that, called Zam. Is that what it was called? Do you
it's been too long since I picked this up.
I found it really interesting, and I kind of wanted to go find some on the internet, and I ended up not doing that. Now I really regret it, but
it reminds me. There's this poet, Holly Melgard. I think she's like loosely associated with conceptual poetry, but she has these poems that she would perform, and this was like I want to say like 8 years ago or something. She was in Buffalo and she would perform these poems with a loop pedal and loop her voice like through like a little guitar amp or whatever, and she was creating these poems by layering her voice over top of itself. But I read somewhere that the idea was she was making poems that couldn't be written. It's pretty cool. If you like find her on YouTube, you can see.
What was her name again?
Holly Melgard.
Holly Melgard. Okay. So one part of this that I think we both enjoyed was towards the end, right? The where Bernstein gets into the thickness
with 2 C's.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Well, yeah. What
Bernstein's all about the pogs. I can edit that out.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
I can't even look at this word now without laughing. How are we supposed to have a conversation about this? Right, that words have a particular thickness.
The flesh of the word.
Oh God. Right, that there's a part here. Oh, that the visibility of words as a precondition of reading necessitates that words obtrude impermeably into the world, right? And I think it's that obtrusion, right? That Bernstein labels a thickness, um, right? And I don't know. Do you want to say anything about thickness?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I find this idea interesting, and I don't know. I'm like vaguely aware that there's some sort of like tradition surrounding this with like language poetry, and like I'm not up on that, but the way I interpret this thickness of writing is like there's that thing, right, which is like that like impossible point, which is the condition of the possibility of something else. Does that make sense? So like I feel like I've said this so many times and it's always difficult. Uh like there the same thing that makes something possible makes something else impossible. So I mean, I see this essentially as like some sort of like Lacanian object cause of desire, or like Fichte's antos. I don't know how to say it, but it's that idea that it's like the thickness of writing, that aspect of writing which makes it like obtrude, stick out, which that aspect of writing that isn't absorbed is the condition of the absorption of what is like absorbable, right? Does
Right.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That it is the condition of absorption.
yeah,
Yeah, but there is like a residue or a remainder
yeah, yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm down with that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think really interestingly, the footnote on page 87,
Uh-huh.
the Merleau-Ponty quote.
Mm-hmm.
It is the thickness of flesh between the seer and the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. It is that the thickness of flesh between the seer and the thing is constitutive for the thing of its corporeity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an obstacle between them, right? It's their means of communication, which I think is uh, I think it's really interesting that he pulls from Merleau-Ponty, and I don't really know that much about Merleau-Ponty, but I think like the going off that quote again, right? That it's like that you have a body is the sole means that you have to go into the heart of things and sort of make myself a world. Which I
It's
think is
like the primacy of
the
mediation.
primacy of mediation. Yeah.
There's no like,
There's just always thickness. There's
yeah.
nothing outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
thickness. Everything is thick. Yeah, I don't know. I like after like I'll be honest with you. I've really never read anything like this before, and it was a struggle at the beginning. But I really enjoyed that he ended on this note talking about thickness because it is something I really latched onto.
What was that? Remember like, I don't know if it was in the spring or fall, but I remember I read something, I think it must have been in the fall, because I read this essay in the fall about like documentary films.
Oh
And
yeah,
you'd read
about
something by the same.
Trinity Minha. Minha?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think uh I forgot what I was gonna say now. I think there's a connection here at least. Did you read something about documentary films as well? Or was it?
I don't remember why I came across her. We had a conversation about her, and I think that's why you ended up sending me that essay. But I feel like she came up in one of the the Walter Mignolo articles that I was reading.
That's
and
right.
and I
Yeah.
think then I asked you about her because she teaches at
Berkeley, yeah, and that rhetoric
Yeah.
program.
So, but I read the essay and unfortunately I don't really remember. But So,
Yeah, I don't.
so in the spirit of Bernstein and and the absorption and the anti-absorption, we decided to
In the spirit of
in the
thickness.
spirit of thickness, we've decided to play to sort of walk this I don't know concept out in with music, right? Since we both like music so much, so
Yeah.
we music and so pretty much to take the absorption and the anti-absorption, take it out of well take it off the page, I guess,
And put it in your ears.
put it in your ears. So yeah, we read this essay and we talked about some different songs that we thought would some songs in which their anti-absorptive elements would in the end, I guess, promote a level of absorption.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there one in particular you want to start with?
No, why don't you just surprise me?
I think what I'll do then, I'll like clean this up in editing.
That's fine.
But I think what I'll do then, I think I am going to insert the songs
Yeah, that's fine.
for the sake of Christina, I guess, who's probably the only one who's gonna listen to this.
Right.
But
Actually, I have some friends back home who were like, "This isn't on the podcast app." And I was like, "Yeah, we're just some nerds in Maine. Leave us alone."
Let's see, I'm just trying to get okay at 25 minutes. So let's start with the Seiko 3. So this song is let's see, it's called Seiko 3, and who's this by? Kankyo Ongaku.
I'm really glad you read that and not me.
I think that's the artist, not Yasuaki Shimizu.
Yeah, for those of you keeping track at home, it came off of a
It's on a like
compilation album. Yeah, Japanese ambient, environmental, and new age music from 1980 to some other year, but my Spotify is cutting off the second year.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's ambient and environmental and new age music from Japan in the 80s.
Yeah, if you haven't, it's definitely worth your time checking out like ambient music from Japan from like the 80s and 90s. Great stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this and okay, yeah, so we're good. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how that song, right? That it starts off. I don't know. Like I could totally see myself walking or driving to that song, and then like totally forgetting that I was listening to music, right? That we commented as we were listening to it that those synths in the background just get louder and louder, and it just becomes like more grandiose. And as it becomes more grandiose, you get more emotionally invested in the song.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of sink deeper and deeper and deeper, and then as you put it best, it just sort of like kicks you the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you like snap to and you realize, oh wait, oh yeah, I was listening to a song.
I think I would like to relate it to Ben Lerner's his novel 1004 that we just read, right? Where like there are these moments throughout the novel where he like retroactively is making meaning of these events. Like and what's interesting too is that a lot of these events, like it's not, the event hasn't changed, but the meaning of the same thing that was already there has changed. And I feel like maybe along those lines, this song, like you were saying, you're going, and you like, you could even forget that you're listening to something until it stops, and then it's just like, yeah.
Right, and then it's
like a metaphor of life.
Yeah, but unlike life, we can look back on it and realize, like, oh, like we can never listen to that song the same way again.
As
right?
Joni Mitchell once said, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah. Right. But like you can only listen to that song, like you can only have that experience once, right? Like you and I already know what that song sounds like.
I don't know, dude. I feel like I end up like that song like can make me emotional, especially with like the right chemicals like coursing through my body.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, and I think that's the power of it. Like, I could put that on while driving home, right? And in that minute, forget that I was listening to a song. But, like, when that end comes, like, I'm not surprised anymore. Like, maybe surprise isn't the right word. And maybe, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm still jolted, though. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that some more.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely... Like, I can remember the first time I listened to that and just being, like, really, like, I don't know, like, disappointed.
That it ended.
That it ended, yeah. But that's, like, what makes it so good.
Right.
That's the thickness.
That's the thickness. Yeah, I mean, right, that at the very end, what made it so good before, what made you disappointed is that it wasn't a song. For a while, like you sort of were so absorbed in it, it just became, not this like supplemental thing in your life. It was just like constitutive of your existence.
Yeah.
And then it just, out you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you did like, to like, put it like more concretely in Bernstein's terms, it's like you don't know you are absorbed while you're absorbed, right? It's that abrupt anti-absorptive moment where you, after the fact, are like, oh, like I was absorbed.
Right. Oh, why did that end? I didn't want that to end.
Yeah, that thickness just boots you on out.
Boots you on out, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So we got another one lined up?
Yeah, so this is Arca, and I've been told by friends that people who listen to Arca are pretentious, and that might be the case, but I would just say not everyone who listens to Arca is pretentious. This is early Arca too. This is like, I don't know, because I'm using YouTube. On YouTube, what I have pulled up was published in 2013, so it's pretty old. This is from the album that's titled a bunch of and symbols.
Like the ampersands?
Yeah. And it's called Hallucinogen. So we're going to play this for y'all. Tim Hecker too.
Yeah. Are we?
Yeah, we're on. So I feel like I feel like what Arca does well. This may or may not have been the best song to represent the absorptive anti-absorptive relationship to that I feel like is really present in Arca's music, but I think this is like more approachable, which is why I chose it than a lot of Arca's music. But I think basically the way that Arca is able to bring together like these like really abrasive sounds and textures and create something that is sufficiently organized to be recognized as music and not just noise is notable. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I would put the caveat that it's generally not noticeable the first time you listen to it, though.
Yeah, depending on like
your
how many friends you have.
Yeah, right. I mean, but even like I would say that, you know, that I would say that I'm a huge Arca fan. But even like it takes me I would say a significant amount of time, but like it's never on the first time.
Yeah. Who's a sax player?
Colin Stetson?
Yeah, I think he could be another point of reference for this idea of...
Yeah, that kind of goes in the like I don't know if I would put him in like the same thing, the same reason that like Terry Riley's in C, maybe, that it like for a certain reason, for a different reason, but like the same idea. I think that it's like he's able to, it's like, you know, to go back to the thickness, like it is the thing that obtrudes, right? It is like the most primordial like noise, the most basic fundamental piece, right? But then it's also, you know, if you keep in mind that you're just listening to a saxophone, right? Or in Terry Riley C, like if you keep in mind that like you're always just hearing C in the background, right? It's like this thing that is constantly like pulling you towards the center of the song, in which you can see the song's constructedness, but it's also like repelling you, you know, back to the sort of peripheral, in which, you know, you can, I guess, more easily be absorbed. Even though I feel like the spatial metaphor there kind of doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I think another good one for Arca, not that we're going to play it here, but for those of you, you know, keeping tabs at home, off the album Mutant. The song Mutant, it's the second song. I think that's a really good one too.
You should just listen to that whole album.
Yeah, honestly, well, whenever I generally meet someone new and they say they like music, I just like slide that out. I mean, I did it with you too. I've done it with a number of people, and I would say that you're the first person that had a very good reaction to it. Everyone else has been like, oh yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I think it's funny what you said, that not a lot of people appreciate Arca, but not a lot of people actually like her. I would say that Arca is like the sole reason that I like experimental music now, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't remember when I
you don't.
when I fucked up.
Yeah, dude, I remember the exact day where I fucked up. I could tell you the intersection in South
With
Raleigh,
Arca?
North Carolina. The first time I put Arca on, I was just like,
Oh damn.
"What the fuck is this?" And I immediately turned it off because it freaked me out too much. And then I turned it back on like 2 minutes later. So Arca's like the one musician where when she makes music and I don't like it, it's my fault. Like she's like at that level for me.
I think I love her Instagram feed. I don't know if you checked it out, but it is cursed.
Is it really?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm there for it. I remember actually, it's funny. I don't know if I've said this to you. I remember getting. When was this? It must have been like 2014 or something, where somehow I came across that music video, and it's like the vocals are very like opera.
Are we talking about an Arca song?
Yeah, and in the music video, she is wearing, I don't know, it was,
Horse legs?
yeah, like they're like mechanical.
Yeah, with like cloven hoofs.
And
at
there's
the bottom.
like this
Yeah.
like black octopus dick that like comes out in the middle of the video, and it's like bloody. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think it was it the song Anoche?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember a black octopus dick, but those robot horse legs never left me as a parent.
Yeah.
From
Dude, I remember seeing that. Oh no, it's not Anoche, it's Reverie.
Oh, okay. Same album though, right? Yeah, that is off of the Arca.
And
No,
I just
it's
remember
not.
seeing
Oh, yeah,
that and thinking like, what in God's name is happening?
well, dude, that was
And it was so good.
that was the
I
first.
was like
yeah.
immediately like just totally captivated.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know, and it was like at a point where like I hadn't had that sort of like experience with music in like years. Like I don't know, probably like since high school at that point that I hadn't felt so like confused in a good way.
No, I mean like that's exactly what I'm talking about. The first time I listened to her, yeah, that's the exact. Like I didn't know music could sound like that. Like honestly,
Yeah.
it freaked me out. Like imagine being, like however old I was. I was like 25, and all of a sudden hearing something new, like totally new, you've never heard it before. I freaked out. I think what's really interesting, and you had mentioned, I don't, when I generally try and sell people on Arca, I sort of do the, hit the CV, right? Like, oh, I don't know if you listen to like FKA Twigs, or like, oh, she produced a couple of songs on Yeezus, right? To sort of like ready them, like this person is not totally an alien, like that she works very closely with Bjork on her last two albums.
Mm-hmm.
So that the sort of the credentials are there, that she's not just this sort of like fucking weirdo. I mean, she is, right? But like she's got the cred, and now she does the lobby music at MoMA. She's been like contracted for like 3 years or something like that.
Arca?
Yeah, Arca does Arca's created the lobby music at MoMA, and she actually recently did the fall, no, it was the spring Burberry fashion show.
Oh, tight.
Yeah, so I was like listening to it one day in the office, and Cassidy came in. She was like, "What are you listening to? What is this?" And I was like, "It is the spring 2020 Burberry fashion show." She's like, "What?" Anyway, Arca, can't speak enough about her.
Yeah, Arca's great. I think we're gonna do like a full pod on Arca, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned on that one. But yeah, I think your description is correct. Well, to sort of go back, ground ourselves in the song, right? That she's able to mix these really abrasive elements in a way that seem, simultaneously like really repellent and really absorptive at the same
Yeah,
time.
I think too. I would just like for normal people, for all you normies out there, get a life. You know. No, I'm just kidding. I think like everyone has experiences where they where like you hear something at one point in your life and either you don't like it or you don't even notice it, you know, and then like later it resurfaces and you're like, fuck, like this is it, you know, this is the thickness.
This is the thickness.
You know, and I think like there's something akin to that going on where like if you give these songs time, I'm also like I'm persuaded that if you listen to something enough times, you'll eventually like it.
I would agree with that.
Whether that's like, you know, top 40 pop or, you know, whatever you're not into, country music,
yeah, like
whatever.
pop country.
Yeah, you can
Rap
get
music
there.
for people who don't like black people.
This might be a bad time for me.
Well, no, I mean like that's somebody
like-
said, some country music star said that, some like outlaw country. I don't remember who it was, but that's what he said, is that it's like for stupid white people who don't like black people.
I mean, I remember what was Kendrick Lamar's first album? Mad.
No, that wasn't the first one. Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that it?
It's not the first one.
That's not
but
the first one?
His like first like really popular one.
Oh, okay.
I think he had one called Section 80.
I mean, I feel like
And he had
I don't
one before
know
that,
if I
too.
heard that first. I'm trying to think of what, but I remember being exposed to Kendrick Lamar and being like, you know, like this is all right. I don't like this. I do like that. But like listening to, in particular, it was what was after Good Kid, Mad To Pimp a Butterfly. Yeah. You listen to that a few times and like it wasn't something that I immediately dug, but like I think it took me probably 2 listens. Like some of the I think I like legitimately what is the song? There's one song on there that's like it's like fucking emotional. I mean, the whole, I don't know. But, like, my point being, like, eventually, like, I think you can listen to something enough that you...
Yeah, no, I'm definitely on board with that. I don't want to test that theory with, like, pop country, but...
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I think it bears out in my own experience, like, with Swans in particular. I couldn't even tell you how many years. Whenever The Seer came out and everyone was like, oh, this album is so good. And I remember listening to it and being like, what the fuck is this? And then like 5 years later being like, yes.
The second time I went to college, I had a roommate who was really into country. And I don't remember who the country dude was, but my roommate always called him like the island country guy or something like that. I don't know who it was. But I was like not into country really. And I like grew to appreciate this one dude.
But
I don't remember who it was.
Right.
I haven't listened to him since.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm generally okay with most country music. Like it's not something I know a lot about. I would say I know very little about it. But if somebody's gonna put on like older country music, you know,
No,
like,
dude, it was like I don't know,
like
early
contemporary?
aughts.
Oh, really?
I don't know who it was.
Island
country or something like that. I could be getting that wrong.
Yeah.
What is his name? Preston, if you're out there.
the one I'm totally blanking on his name, so I'm not gonna bring it up.
Yeah,
The
I
one
don't
country singer.
know. It's probably not. Don't test this theory. Stay polarized in your music tastes if you're listening to this.
Yeah, so I had to look it up because I'm an idiot. But yeah, Sturgill Simpson is the one that I'm a fan of, and I'll tell you, and I think this might win you over too, right? His the album came out in 2014, is titled Meta Modern Sounds in Country Music, And the first song is called Turtles All the Way Down, and it's about doing DMT and
Whole lot of turtles.
What?
I said a whole lot of turtles.
Yeah. Well, no, like seeing, if I remember correctly, the line is like reptile aliens made of light, like pulling out all of his pain. And I was like, yo, this song is awesome. Like, this is the type of country music I can get down with. And what's funny about that is it starts off like a typical country song, like talking about Jesus and God. And then he starts talking about Buddha and like, Vishnu or something like that. And then he's like, oh, and then this time I did DMT and I saw reptile aliens.
Oh, man.
So yeah,
That's
Sturgill
really
Simpson. He does some. He makes some pretty good country music, I guess. Anyway,
Does he get radio play?
he does. He's actually pretty well. I think pretty well, like critically received. That album. I don't know about. He's not gonna get like country radio play like
The dude I'm thinking of is like really popular, but I just don't know anybody's name. You know that song about fishing in the dark?
No, dude, I can't keep this shit straight either. Honestly, they're like, I don't want to fall into tropes here, but they're all just like about fucking pickup trucks and tailgates. And I realize that's a broken joke at this point, but it's goddamn true.
That's really good though, the fishing in the dark song. I'm gonna find it.
Maybe we could find it and see if there's any
podcast.
anti-absorptive elements in it. Okay, so the next song that we're gonna listen to,
what is it?
Is it's by a band called Suso.
Yeah.
And is that the next one we're gonna play? Yeah, Suso. Yeah. Okay, and the song is called Bani, Bani. I think they're from West Africa. I want to say Senegal, but I'm not totally sure. So.
All right, let's check this out.
I bani koto man jamfa jamun drodro mu community bete jamuna sai te usufa ngo e bankute kelela bani e bani kari e bankute kelela yaje komi jamun droda man mu bani ti yaje woda man mu jamun drodro ne mu wa komi ye mola ke kende ya itala dro wala bani e ban kari e bankute kelela.
Correction. I ended up Googling this group, and turns out that it's a collaborative project between a network of griot families, so like storytellers, West African storytellers, and a UK producer named Hugh Bennett. So not all, and they're actually they're from the Mandinka tribe in Gambia, so not Senegal. Just to correct the record there. But yeah, no, I ended up sending that one to you, particularly because of the voice, right? That what I think is a much more approachable song than the other two that we played. It's certainly the Arca song, right? But like, you know, you listen to it and you're like, oh, that's like, you know, sounds like a xylophone. I don't really know what it is, but you know, that it gets you into it, and then all of a sudden you hear her voice, and it's just this like very scratchy sounding. And really, for me, the part was the part that really the part that convinced me to send it to you was the chorus, which, you know, having listened to this song for, I don't know, on and off for a year or so, not totally sure what's going on with her voice, whether it's being chopped or not. And you seem to think that that it is natural.
I mean, I don't think it's an effective editing. So if that's natural, then yes. Okay. Yeah. And I think too, what I'd said earlier was, I think like that our sensibilities are so attuned to like extreme editing or whatever now, that something that can be achieved like naturally through non-digital editing is what I mean, or like just like more rudimentary methods are like so foreign to us that they could be, to use Bernstein's terminology, anti-absorptive, where you're like, what the fuck's she doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely like you're convincing me that it is her voice, but you're right that it has that exact effect, right? Where, you know, at least for me, when I heard it, I was like, you know, the first time I heard it, I was like, what the fuck is going on with her voice there? Like, not necessarily that it's scratchy, like, yeah, you know, that brings you out of it a little bit, but specifically at the beginning of the chorus, where it sounds like there are these like micro chops, you know, in her voice. And you know, for a long time, I would go back and forth being like, no, that's her voice. No, it's been edited. Right. But it's, you know, it's to the point where I just couldn't make up my mind on what was actually going on.
Do you know what year this was?
I want to say 2018.
Okay.
I only found it. I only found it last year. Oh no!
Did you find it
2013?
Okay.
Shit.
Did you find this on Spotify?
Yeah. So I found it through. It was 2016 per Spotify. I found it through. So like Spotify has that. It has a like similar artist function. Yeah. And it has a I'm totally blanking on the name of the artist now, but we had a conversation, a very brief conversation, fall semester, I think, about Afrofuturism, and I had brought up at the time a Congolese singer, and I'm blanking on the name now. But I had the album cover in my mind or whatever. But anyway, that's who I found it through that. I pretty much went through the similar artists. Oh, here it is, actually. Bongwana Star is the Congolese. Great album from Kinshasa. But yeah, I pretty much just went through the fans also like section and picked out all the cool album covers and lucked out with this.
Cool album covers is always...
Yeah, I mean, well, you got nothing else to go on.
I always find, like, talking about music with friends that I never know, like, the names of stuff. Like, I can't name the album, so I always end up describing the album cover. I do the same damn thing with the fucking like distribution requirements. People get so
It's on
frustrated.
the bottom right corner.
I got a couple records last summer. One is Musiques. I don't know how to fucking say this. It's Ethiopian music,
Yeah.
in French. And the other is called Fanafodi, a collection of recordings and photography from Madagascar, Volume 2. Not the first volume.
Madagascar?
I mean, it says Madagascar.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to just jump to conclusions, but
Yeah, I don't know, but what I wanted to say was, and maybe we should do like a vinyl DJing pod sometime. But on both of these albums, there are tracks that this is like field recording, but there are tracks that sound like, I don't know, like highly edited avant-garde electronic music.
Really?
And it's not at all. It's like, I mean, I can't remember. These are old records, you know. And it's weird and it's really cool, but I think it just goes to the point I wanted to make, that like I think our like what we think of as like possible is like pretty limited musically right now, because we're like exposed to such a limited number of sounds or whatever.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Maybe I could be wrong. Were we gonna play one more song?
Oh, we gotta find that "Fishing in the Dark" song.
Fishing in the Dark.
We gotta do "Fishing in the Dark."
That wasn't it. It was. Did we want to do tempo changes?
Oh yeah.
How do you say that?
I'll take a stab at it, but I'm not totally sure. Where did it go? Kruangbin?
Kruangbin.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's Kruangbin. I think they're in Texas. I think they're like an Austin band. And this is from the album Con Todo el Mundo, and I think it's the last track. And Eston, if you're listening, you showed me this tune, buddy. It's called Friday Morning. Did I say that? And I think, okay, so this is like what I want to call attention to is the tempo changes. And I feel like tempo changes have this kind of absorptive, anti-absorptive dynamic at work, where you're kind of locked into a certain rhythm and then you're shifting gears. And I think that, you know, has a certain affective effect to it. So let's go ahead and play that. tune that this was another tune that my friend showed me when we were DJing for our defunct band that turned into a podcast. So like it may DJing for each other in my studio apartment. I think so, like, you know, the funeral podcasting may be a little bit due to just like circumstances and chemicals, but I stand by it listening to it again. I think in terms of the absorptive anti-absorptive aspect of the song, the tempo changes are those moments kind of like with Seiko 3 where you're kicked out of the song. When the tempo changes, you realize that like something was occurring, but it's not until that like what is occurring has changed that you realize what you were in, what you were absorbed in. I also really like, I said this to you, the vocals where you're not really sure what they're saying, but I think that there's something just like that we're drawn to about the human voice. And like I said, I think that's what's so appealing about certain synth sounds or a lap steel guitar is there's a way that like the notes sit between notes that mimics the voice. That's not you know, like totally tuned in. And I think there's something about that. Maybe at some point we'll read that essay about music and Lacan, chapter in that.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about that where it's that. I think Heidegger says, I don't know if you're, nah.
I mean, from which? Where,
I don't know. He
when?
talks about, and like his writings about aesthetics, about aletheia, like revelation and concealment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he talks about it. I know he has some essay. He has other essays on aesthetics, but he talks about that in an essay concerning technology.
Oh, okay.
Where like technology is revealing.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. So.
I've only read like secondary stuff on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's that revelation and concealment, that like push and pull, that absorption, anti-absorption. And I think there's something about the human voice for us that sits in that liminal space between like something that's like, I don't know, like intelligible, recognizable, and something that's like just foreign to.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, one of the today actually I was listening to I don't know if you've ever listened to The Knife. Mm-mm. They're like a Norwegian electro pop, I guess. I don't know, but they started out in pop and it sort of transitioned to, I mean, still pop, but a little darker and a little bit more experimental. But they have a song called The Captain off of their album Silent Shout. That really, like, when I think about voice manipulation, that's what I always think about. Because I don't know, I mean, I have no idea what she's saying. But it just always draws me in, you know, like the song is 4 minutes long or something like that, and the first 2.5 minutes or so are just like, you know, some sort of electronic sounds. And like I always just like want the voice to start because it's I don't know, like that's what always comes to mind when people talk about vocal manipulation, specifically for me. Is just, you know, it's not even like it's singing, but it's something else.
Yeah.
So we found out while we were listening to the song that we both have a funeral playlist. So you don't need to tell me what your other song is. We can save that for later. But does your other song have words in it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Neither of mine do. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Really? I wonder if there's any there.
Is there any there? There is no there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe sometime we'll have
What?
to.
Well, no. I
No,
don't.
you can. I mean, I'll.
Yeah. Let's
Do-
do a
do you-
funeral
okay.
playlist pod.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said, we only have two each. I mean, but you know,
Yeah.
we're still young. We got the rest of our
Hopefully,
lives to pick
yeah.
out songs to play once we die. So
I mean, I think I only started fairly recently. In the
yeah,
last 10 years.
I would say a year and a half ago. No, it was longer than that.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years ago, 2.5. But yeah, no, it was really one song, and I was just like, holy shit, like I want this to be played at my funeral. And then you know, once you hit that song, right, then making a playlist is just a natural outgrowth of that.
Yeah.
So it is. Maybe we should have a funeral playlist where we talk about, right, because for me, and maybe I'm off base here, but like for me, these songs, like there's something like imagistic about these songs, right? Like, and maybe it's just the way that I process music, but I always think of like the music that is most important to me is generally processed through images that I like construct to make sense of the music. I don't know if that makes really any sense. But you know, like one of my funeral playlist songs is like all I think about is just like mountains that are like really beautiful but just like crush you in an instant at the same time. So I don't know if I'm just weird and process music like that, but we should do it. We should do a funeral playlist podcast.
Yeah.
Let's let the world catch on fire a little bit more. Like
Is this a reference to?
just the world. Oh no, it was not a reference. I didn't even think about that. I don't know. Maybe we should wait until like Kim Jong Un actually dies. I was really excited when that was going on. I was like, man, dude, this is really ratcheting up this this global shit show. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should do it like the night of the election or something like that.
I feel like it's a little premature to get my hopes up about that, but
Well, no, I mean, you know, if we die, it's great. If we don't, you know, we don't. Either way, win-win. Anyway,
do we have another one on there, or was that?
I think that might have been it. Yeah, I mean, we talked about. Yeah, we talked. Yeah, I think that was it.
Oh yeah, just Terry Riley and Yoji Ikeda.
Oh yeah, what Ikeda song? I don't really. I couldn't really. Yeah, yeah.
In particular.
Yeah. Are we? Yeah. So I feel like with you know, I don't know how clear we were on a lot of these songs, but I feel like each of them in sort of different ways, right? Like manipulate these anti-absorptive elements, right? Like you know with let's say Seiko 3, right? It just sort of like draws you in and then immediately kicks you out. Like, would you say that you know, Kruangbin song is sort of like Seiko 3 in that sense that it's like instead of Seiko 3 just ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that one like kind of does the same thing. It doesn't necessarily kick you out, right? But the time changes force you to realize and assess like, oh, I've been listening to a song, but then the song keeps going.
Yeah.
Right. So would you say that they're kind of doing the same thing, but Seiko 3 just ends in that song?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like in an anti-absorptive sense.
I think that's probably like pretty fair. I think. Yeah, I think like they do the, what is it, Friday morning kind of. What I think happens with Friday morning is you have kind of like this, it happens multiple times, but only happens once in Seiko. At the same time, even though I mean, it's like what, 6 minutes or something long, it's still, at least to me, having listened to both that song and album that it appears on multiple times, I'm never like, it doesn't like, what do I want to say? It doesn't like, it's never too predictable. Each tempo change, I'm like, yeah, like, oh, you know, like it kind of, it surprises me even though I know it's coming, which I think is one of the things that makes it such a good song. The Seiko 3 song, yeah, it definitely like only happens once. Obviously. And I think that there's something like particularly, I guess, like powerful about that. Um yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just kind of rambling, but I think they're both dealing in the same thing. They go about it a little bit differently, but yeah. So, um, yeah, so that's